So Matt, how did you get the opportunity to play Leon in Resident Evil 6?
It kind of caught me off guard, actually. I was called in for an audition almost, I guess, 2 years ago. And I'd received the sides, and no characters were listed. But reading through the sides, I had a pretty good idea of what it was. I'd played through all the previous, Resident Evil games. And so it was very exciting and intimidating, because having known this character for so long and to have this opportunity was an incredible possibility. And so I just went in for the audition, got to do a couple passes in the character, a couple different takes on it, and I didn't realize it was for Resident Evil 6 or anything on that scale. So it was an unexpected opportunity that turned into something much better than I could hope for. So a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck.
How is it to play such a popular character like Leon?
It's intimidating. It's really cool. Like, he's just a really awesome character, very dynamic, and there's a lot of intricacy to his personality. Like all the other characters in Resident Evil, but his in particular follows this duality between doing what's right and doing what's the moral thing for himself and his own personal sense of honor, and what is right for the situation, and the two don't always mingle. So I think of all the characters, he has the strongest moral compass, and really has a hard time deciding which is better for the overall circumstance, what's better for what feels right to him. And that to me was a very interesting part to play, but at the same time, because there's such a long history with the character and such a long lineage of previous talented voice actors, it was a lot to step into. Really big shoes, a really big fan base of ravenous Resident Evil fans that are all, judging this change and what I can bring to the character. So it was a little intimidating, but very exciting, because I've had a love for the character for so long. So to have the opportunity to go ahead and give my spin on that, and really kind of help his transition into this new story with my own touch, was a great opportunity, and I'm really excited to see what people think about it.
Do you know the work of other Leon's voice actors, like Paul Haddard and Paul Mercier?
I do, actually. Well, the first Paul, I'm the first person to break the Paul chain, apparently. I played the first game, Resident Evil 2, and so that was my first introduction to the character. So of course that immediately flavored the young, bright-eyed, but still trying to keep his lack of experience from getting in the way of getting things done for the first game. Paul did a great job getting that across, Paul Haddad. But Resident Evil 4 was where I really fell in love with the character, as I'm sure a lot of you had the same circumstance. And I was lucky enough to become friends with Paul Mercier many years ago, working on just simultaneous voiceover projects and mocap gigs and things. And he's an incredibly awesome guy, and I love what he brought to Leon as a character. So stepping into the role of Leon after that lineage, that bloodline, was a little... I had to make sure that I did honor and justice to the character from what they brought to it beforehand, as well as bringing my own take onto it. So I love their work, and I'm very familiar with it, and it's definitely influenced greatly the way I approach the character, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't an entirely new experience. It was still the Leon that everybody knew and loved from the very beginning. Just, the time and experiences have changed him just enough to the point where, you can bear with the fact that now I'm stepping into the role, and I hope it's not too jarring.
How did you compose the character, and which of Leon's traits are transmitted by your own voice?
It was very easy to initially grasp the character based on just my previous experience with him. But when we began to first meet with Capcom and Mr. H, they assigned each character an animal that kind of was their essence. And when they gave me the German Shepherd for Leon, it really stood out to me as this, this honorable, this strong, this being willing to sacrifice to do the greater good. And that really kind of gave me a good branching point to step into the role. And that really is, sacrifice is a really big theme for Leon, because ever since the first day on the job, and he was 20, like, he just started his life as an adult, and he's been thrust into this, and it's continuously peppered and destroyed what normality he could have lived in. And I think there is definitely a resentment for the deal that's been given to him, but it's outweighed by the fact that he feels good secretly, knowing that he's done the right thing. He's the Boy Scout. He's the one that, as much as his life sucks because of this, he secretly enjoys the fact, I think, that he's the only one that can do it. And he knows that though this is hard on him in his experience and his love life, of course, Leon, girls, never seems to work out so well. I think he really does enjoy the aspect that he feels that he's doing his duty, and that he's saving lives, and that even though it sucks for him, for the greater good, that makes it worth it all to him at the very end. So sacrifice is a very huge thing for him. And then after that, it's honor, it's duty, and the only time that you really see him grasping for personal need seems to be anything involved with, well, Ada Wong. You know, that long history there. She's the one continuing facet throughout this entire experience his life has been, the recurring element of personal need, but at the same time mistrusting that need because it goes against everything that he believes he stands for. So that makes for a very interesting character dynamic. And then as far as what was the second question? That's right.
Was which of Leon's traits are transmitted by your voice?
As far as Leon's traits, I think just personally, I'm also kind of a Boy Scout. I never actually was a Boy Scout. Don't tell anyone that. But I feel I'm a very optimistic person. I have a very strong sense of morality and doing the right thing. And there have been many experiences and opportunities in my life that I could have taken, but it went against what I felt was the greater good. It went against it. If other people were hurt in the process, it was something I could never bring myself to do. And so I think a lot of that honesty and a lot of that just inherent good attitude really, I hope, comes through in the Leon character, because that's one thing that me and him really strongly share. The sense of duty and honor, of course. At the same time, you know, I guess maybe a little bit of I've never quite gotten the girl. I mean, it's changed since then, but I definitely had a long period of my life where I definitely felt Leon like the, why is it so hard to find a lady? So I guess I can kind of commiserate with that a little bit.
Resident Evil 6 producers promised to insert a new game style called dramatic horror. Does this new style influence your voice acting process?
Very much so, actually. Horror, in its nature, is a very atmospheric, very methodic, a very slow build of atmosphere, and that's kind of what got the series its start. And the fact that they've been putting a lot of focus on bringing that and marrying that with the action style of gaming and just media in general, and kind of taking the best of both worlds and combining them to tell the story has allowed us as voice actors, at least myself personally, the ability to really express the character across that spectrum. You know, you can do the slow, scary, the very tense, very deliberate performances when the situation calls for it at the same time. You get to do the louder escapes, you get to do the frenzied call-outs, you get to really like play the entire arc of the character from the highest point of his achievement to literally falling to the bottom of the barrel. And I think this game really covers that scope. And that, as an actor, I think not only heavily influenced, but made it very enjoyable and very rewarding to be able to be part of that storytelling element.
Right. Leon is accompanied by female characters since RE2, like Claire, Ada, and Ashley. How is his relationship with women in RE6?
Leon's relationship with women is always a very interesting experience, because he wants to help. He genuinely does. And even if the situation seems very dangerous and stupid and like it's a total trap, if there is a woman who needs help, that he can't turn that down. That's his biggest instinct, really. Even if he knows it's a trap, even though it's a terrible idea, and the end of it, he'll feel better about himself knowing that at least he went through the motions, as opposed to turning it down right for the off chance that it really was needed help. And so, bumping into Helena and how their dynamic begins, he's completely mistrusting. He has no reason to trust what she's doing, and he's been double-crossed many times in the past by women who've come into his life. So, even though he knows better, he wants answers. He's a seeker of knowledge. He needs to know the reasons and the answers for things, and she seems to be the only gateway. So he gets dragged into this, almost kicking and screaming, and through that develops a very interesting dynamic with Helena, which you'll get to experience in the game. But it's, you know, in previous games, he's very much been the protector. He's been the person to step in and kind of, you know, like with Sherry, who he runs into also in 6 as well. Of course, now she's more grown up and taking care of herself, apparently, which is kind of a fun dynamic for him to, you know, remember this little girl all of a sudden now is this grown woman working with the government and has her own protector, and there's that kind of tension between him and Jake as well. But this time with Helena, she's got this taken care of. So he see him kind of, I imagine him wanting to step into that protector role and then kind of not realizing she needs one at times, and that's where the teamwork element really comes in well. There is no imbalance to that duo. They're both on a level play field, and I think you'll find it pretty interesting.
What can we expect from Resident Evil 6?
Well, definitely the biggest Resident Evil yet. For me, what's cool is that so many of these different storylines that you've experienced all across the world and different characters that are all starting to really come together as it goes global. So you really get to see the first interactions between existing long time Resident Evil, lead characters and a bunch of new ones that all play into this intricately woven story. That's all placed and unveiled in a very cool, atmospheric, scary, intense horror experience. Like even just the bits of the game that I got to perform, let alone the ones I got to play as we progressed through the production of the game, I'm really excited. I find that where 5 took a very action-oriented route, this definitely brings it more back to what made Resident Evil so incredible in the beginning, while still maintaining the really awesome, fun, and intense aspects of like 4 and 5's action gameplay circumstance. So expect a lot of really cool, varying locales. Expect really awesome atmospheric lighting and sound. God, the sound is so good in this. Like, it's going to be a very memorable experience and a very satisfying one. I'm very proud to have been a part of the project that has come together looking this good. So I'm excited.
Was there any difference between RE6 and Resident Evil Damnation in terms of voice acting process?
Yeah, actually, it was really fun to kind of bridge the gap for Leon, at least. In Damnation, Leon's still kind of coming off the cusp of Resident Evil 4. He's still a little cocky. He's still, he's got the kind of quippy, little bit of the king of the world attitude in some ways, because he's survived so many of these experiences, and he's kind of embraced the chaos. And Damnation shows his transition to 6, in which he's really undergone much more hardship, and the experiences are weighing on him more as a human being, and you can see really him become more of that hardened older hero. So being able to play that transition in Damnation and then really follow it through all of Resident Evil 6 allowed for a lot of really cool variation between the two projects and really marry that arc together for me as an actor. So it was a really cool and interesting and delightful experience.
So what are your future projects?
Future projects that I can talk about. I have to wonder about those NDAs. I'm working on producing and performing in a new web series coming up called Batgirl Spoiled, that follows the Stephanie Brown Batgirl from the DC Universe, and a lot of really talented people involved in that project. Other great voice actors like Tara Platt and Christopher Smith, Taliesin Jaffe, but it's live action, so you get to see them in fancy costumes and cool fight scenes. It's all being fight choreographed by Paradox Pollock, who worked on things like I Am Legend and Thor, and it's a really cool series that's debuting pretty soon, actually, so keep an eye out for that. Definitely have a bunch of cool characters coming up in the new World of Warcraft expansion, the Mists of Pandaria, so for all you WoW players out there, look forward to destroying me at many dungeons and checking my loot tables for hopefully shaman drops if you're a shaman, if not, too bad. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I have a Naruto anime coming up, a villain character that I don't think I can announce his name yet, but I have to keep an eye out for that. A horror feature coming out, I believe it's being distributed pretty soon, called Dead Inside, in which I play a character named Malcolm Wagner, who's a South African exchange student, and things go horribly wrong. And it's a horror. It's fun. Death happens, like they do in horror. So keep an eye out for that as well. And then I have an animated series that's currently in pre-production that I co-created and wrote and performing in, called The Four. It's about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, getting a place in Pasadena and waiting for the world to end. So yeah, I mean those are all the main things off the top of my head right now. So I hope you run across them at some point in the near future and enjoy. Hey, all you Resident Evil fans in Brazil, just want to thank you very much for all your support and your excitement for this game. Really hope you enjoy it. I know you will. It's fantastic, and hope to be able to keep in touch with you guys via the web and all hopefully future elements of the Resident Evil franchise. So you all enjoy yourselves thoroughly and try and keep me alive, please. Dying's a little rough in this game.